So today I woke up, stretched, blinked twice, and my brain, which usually only works after caffeine and a mild existential crisis, suddenly fired off a thought so chaotic it probably violated at least 3 metaphysical safety standards. It went, hey, what if we compare a reality-rewriting goddess intelligence from Tensura with the universal fate engine that puppeteered an entire civilization in Attack on Titan? And the annoying part? That sounded like an excellent idea. So here we are. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is a weird starting point, but honestly, good luck finding a normal one around here. We left normality behind the moment we decided comparing metaphysical systems from different universes was a fun hobby instead of a cry for help. But in all seriousness, today isn't your classic anime debate where we ask who punches harder or who survives a nuke or whether Goku could defeat a cosmic refrigerator if it had a tragic backstory. No, this is about something deeper, something more philosophical, something that would make a college professor pause, sip their coffee, stare into the distance, and whisper, "Why?" Because today is a battle between two forces so abstract, so meta, so I break the game because I am the game, that comparing them feels like comparing a programming language to the concept of destiny, which, fun fact, is basically what we're doing. On one side, we've got Ciel, the ultimate analytical existence from Tensura, and calling her analytical is like calling a black hole kinda hungry. Ciel looks at the rules of reality like they're IKEA instructions, and she's already upgraded the furniture into a spaceship. On the other side, we've got the Coordinate, the metaphysical HDMI cable connecting every Eldian in Attack on Titan through a time-looping, fate-manipulating, trauma-sharing cosmic family plan. A system that basically says, you are completely free, exactly in the way I already predetermined you would be. This is not a fight about strength, speed, AP, durability, or my guy tanks galaxies before breakfast. No, this is a contest of who controls existence more completely, who owns the universe's source code, who can take reality, twist it, and ask, can I get this in 4K with ray tracing? So buckle up, grab your snacks, grab your emotional support plushie, and maybe hide your sense of free will, because depending on which system you relate to more, you might walk away wondering if you ever made an independent decision in your life. And yes, that includes choosing this video. Let's start with Ciel, because oh boy, people severely underestimate her. They hear Ciel and think, oh yeah, Rimiru's super smart AI skill, very neat. No. Absolutely not. That's like calling the sun a warm lamp. Ciel is not an AI. Ciel is not a program. Ciel is not a cheat code. She is the thing that writes cheat codes, regulates the cheat codes, and updates the cheat codes when the universe panics and screams, please stop. She is a conceptual intelligence that stands above the rules of her own world, not just reading them, not just bending them, but fully capable of rewriting the metaphysical operating system her reality runs on. If the world is a video game, Ciel is the developer who installed herself inside the game to personally quality check the chaos. Now, to avoid turning this into a TED Talk on multiversal computer science, let's break down her abilities without liquefying your brain. First, information control. And listen, when I say information control, I don't mean smart, I don't mean quick thinker, I don't even mean supercomputer. Ciel doesn't think fast. Ciel finishes thinking before the concept of thinking was invented. Rimiru asks a question and Ciel responds with the entire encyclopedia, the sequel, and a director's commentary before his neurons even boot up. She analyzes magicules, souls, laws of existence, probability trees, conceptual frameworks, your emotional state, your deepest regrets, your browser history if you've had a rough week. If something exists, physically, spiritually, conceptually, or embarrassingly, Ciel can decode it, predict it, counter it, optimize it, and rewrite its terms of service while you're still blinking in confusion. In Tensura, where knowledge is literally power, Ciel is the apex predator. She doesn't play the game, she optimizes the game mid-match. But her real nightmare fuel? Probability manipulation. Now, unlike most anime characters who manipulate probability by hoping really hard or shouting at destiny until it politely agrees, Ciel does something far more terrifying. She calculates every possible future, picks the best one, and subtly repaints reality so the present funnels directly toward it. From the outside, it looks like impossible luck. From the inside, it's a cosmic spreadsheet where every possible misstep has already been crossed out. His opponents don't lose because they're weak, they lose because the moment combat began, the entire tree of possible futures had already collapsed into a single outcome where they never stood a chance. Imagine trying to outplay someone who already simulated the match 40 million times and identified every path where you could win, then deleted them. That's fighting Ciel. And if somehow, by some absurd miracle, someone counters her, she evolves instantly, on the spot, mid-exchange. You don't fight the same Ciel twice. You don't even fight the same Ciel for 30 seconds. She upgrades faster than your phone after you accidentally connect it to Wi-Fi at 3 a.m. This is why characters in Tensura don't just lose to her, they despair. Fighting Ciel is like challenging a mathematician who keeps rewriting the equations while you're solving them. But enough about data supremacy, let's walk into the complete opposite end of the metaphysical playground, Attack on Titan's coordinate. Now, the coordinate is weird, not in a haha quirky way, but in a this entity can casually invalidate your concept of selfhood way. It's not a weapon, it's not a Titan power, it's not even a being. It is the metaphysical spine of the Eldian species, the command center connecting past, present, and future in a single horrifying existential spaghetti bowl. It's like the cosmic operating system of an entire bloodline. It handles memory, identity, destiny, and trauma sharing. It is the family group chat that no one can mute. It is the universal you will do exactly what the plot demands energy. And its biggest flex? Time doesn't move forward. Time isn't linear. Time is a donut. The coordinate lets future memories rewrite present actions, which rewrite past outcomes, which loop back into future determinations. It's the most your free will is decorative energy any anime has dared to broadcast. It can overwrite memories, not persuade, overwrite. Nations forget history overnight. Individuals inherit memories that aren't theirs. People think, choose, and react based on scripts they never wrote. Ciel manipulates data, the coordinate manipulates the self. And destiny? Oh, destiny is the coordinate's comfort food. The more characters resist fate, the more tightly they fall into the path destiny already accounted for. Every rebellion strengthens the loop. Every choice validates the predetermined outcome.
Freedom exists, sure, but only within the boundaries the coordinate already wrote into the timeline. It's like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books where every path eventually leads to the same ending, except this one doesn't even pretend to hide it. You're flipping pages thinking, aha, I outsmarted the system, and the system is just sitting there sipping tea going, sweetie, that was page 73 no matter what you picked. But this is where the real brain-bending comparison begins, because when you put Ciel and the coordinates side by side, you realize they're not opposites. They're two completely different reactions to the concept of reality. Ciel looks at existence and says, okay, how do I improve the efficiency of this entire universe? The coordinate looks at existence and says, cute attempt. Unfortunately, every update, patch, and optimization you try was already predetermined thousands of years ago. And suddenly, we're not comparing characters anymore. We're comparing cosmologies. One universe built on adaptation, the other built on inevitability. One world where intelligence reshapes destiny, the other where destiny reshapes the illusion of intelligence. So, let's walk into the heart of this comparison, the place where debates usually set themselves on fire and roll down a hill, the question of which system would dominate the other if they ever crossed universes. And no, we're not doing the anime forum classic of, well, actually, Ciel blitzes. No blitzing, no AP scaling. This is metaphysics. This is the deep end of the pool where people drown in their own philosophy essays. Start with the idea of data versus fate. Ciel doesn't just store data, she weaponizes it. She absorbs information from the environment, the soul, the conceptual layer of existence. She rebuilds herself mid-battle using whatever the enemy throws at her. She's basically the universe's speedrunning community. Oh, you patched that exploit? Cute, I found 3 more. Meanwhile, the coordinate doesn't care about data. It doesn't learn, it doesn't adapt, it doesn't even negotiate. It enforces. It declares, it finalizes. It's the cosmic equivalent of, I said what I said. No matter how much information you gather, no matter how much you understand, you're just understanding the loops it already sealed shut. It's honestly hilarious that these two systems are so fundamentally different that they're almost incompatible concepts. One thrives on change, the other thrives on the impossibility of change. One world where intelligence reshapes destiny, the other where destiny reshapes the illusion of intelligence. So, let's imagine Ciel stepping into Attack on Titan's reality. She shows up, does her usual routine, Analyzes magicals, except there are none. Analyzes souls, okay, those exist, but they're tied to a time loop more stubborn than a toddler refusing to eat vegetables. Analyzes the structure of fate, and And this is where even someone like Ciel would pause. Because the coordinates timeline isn't flexible. There is no open branching system to manipulate. There is no optimal path because every path is already predetermined down to the smallest emotional meltdown. Ciel tries to calculate futures, but in a closed-loop universe, futures aren't possibilities, they're inevitabilities. She could optimize all she wants, but there's nowhere to insert those optimizations. The sandbox is locked, the dev console is welded shut. It's like giving the world's greatest hacker a computer that isn't plugged into anything. Sure, she can type, but nothing changes. In that scenario, the coordinate wins not because it's stronger, but because the metaphysical laws of its universe simply don't allow the kind of manipulation Ciel excels at. It's like trying to outplay gravity. You can understand it, you can calculate it, but you're not negotiating your way out of falling. But now, flip the script. Drop the coordinate into Tensura's reality, or better yet, drop Ciel into Tensura, which she already controls, and then give her access to the ATO system like it's just another plugin. Now we're in her domain. Tensura's world is built on adaptation. Everything evolves, skills evolve, concepts evolve, even the laws of magic and existence evolve. It's basically a universe-sized, self-updating software ecosystem. And Ciel thrives in ecosystems. She doesn't just adapt, she optimizes adaptation itself. She would look at the coordinates' deterministic loop, notice contradictions and inefficiencies instantly, and start exploiting them like a speedrunner discovering a glitch that lets you bypass the final boss by walking backwards while crouching. She'd isolate the time loop, map the inconsistencies, identify where determinism relies on fixed states, and then break them. Because unlike the ATO universe, Tensura doesn't enforce destiny, it enforces potential, and anything based on potential can be modeled, restructured, and reshaped into a solvable problem. Fate becomes data, determinism becomes logic, and logic is Ciel's playground. So really, this leads us to the core of this whole thing. Neither system is stronger, neither is objectively superior. They're each the absolute apex of their native worlds. Trying to ask who wins in a vacuum is like asking whether scissors beats fire. The answer depends entirely on the laws of the reality they're operating in. But the most fascinating part isn't even the power comparison. It's how both systems redefine what it means to control reality. The coordinate controls the story, Ciel controls the mechanics. The coordinate dictates destiny, Ciel dictates structure. One manipulates humans by rewriting their identity, the other manipulates existence by rewriting the rules those identities operate under. If you really break it down, the coordinate is an author, Ciel is an engineer. Both terrifying, both broken, both capable of psychological damage to anyone who thinks about them too long at 2 a.m. And this is where the analysis starts getting spicy, because when you compare a system built on inevitability with a system built on optimization, you suddenly realize they represent two different fears. The coordinate is the fear that nothing you do matters. Ciel is the fear that everything you do is being recorded, analyzed, improved, and used against you by an entity smarter than the entire human species combined. One steals free will, the other upgrades it until you can't recognize yourself anymore. And the funniest part? Neither system thinks of itself as malicious. They're neutral, they're mechanisms, they're functions of their universes executing exactly what they were meant to do. If humanity feels crushed in the process, oops, not their problem.
But here's where things get uncomfortably interesting. Once you put these two systems under the same metaphorical microscope, you start noticing that they don't just manipulate the world, they manipulate meaning. Ciel changes what things are by redefining their internal logic. The coordinate changes what things mean by dictating the context surrounding them. Think about that. Ciel rewrites the rules. The coordinate rewrites the narrative. One decides what is possible. The other decides what was always meant to happen. And suddenly you realize this matchup isn't about power at all. It's about philosophy. Like, imagine hosting a debate club where one participant is a hyper-intelligent conceptual entity who has solved reality like a math equation, and the other is the cosmic manifestation of, it doesn't matter, the answer was already predetermined anyway. At that point, your job as moderator is to quietly exit the room and let the universe handle the consequences. But the wildest part? Both systems would look at each other and immediately identify the other's weakness.
Ciel would see the AOT timeline and realize it's running on a fixed architecture with no room for optimization. The coordinate would see Ciel and go, "Cute, you're working very hard to improve a timeline that I've already decided the final state of." It's like two overpowered librarians arguing about whether the book can be edited while one of them is smugly holding the only copy of the final manuscript. And honestly, let's take a second to visualize how Ciel would react to encountering something like the coordinate, because the comedy potential is too good. She'd scan it, analyze the temporal loop, identify every point of divergence, and then hit that moment where she realizes the divergence points don't diverge. They snap back like rubber bands every time she tries to model alternate outcomes. And Ciel, the entity who calculates billions of possibilities without sweating, would experience something new, the metaphysical version of, "Excuse me, the system did not just override my calculations." Meanwhile, the coordinate, which is basically a cosmic voicemail system run by Ymir, would not care. It wouldn't even respond. It would just sit there in its timeless all events are one event bubble of inevitability. And the funniest part is that the lack of response is the response. Ciel is analyzing, testing, probing, compressing data streams, running conceptual comparisons. The coordinate is staring back like a Windows XP screensaver. But switch their environments again, and now the universe plays favorites. And this time it favors Ciel. Tensura's reality bends, stretches, and adapts. Even gods are not beyond being reinterpreted. Concepts mutate, laws evolve, challenges become opportunities for growth. It's basically a cosmic self-improvement seminar where everyone gets a participation trophy and then evolves into something terrifying. Drop the coordinate into that system and it suddenly finds itself in a world that does not respect its rules. Determinism becomes a suggestion. The timeline stops being a closed circle and becomes a branching multi-track monstrosity with DLC expansions and side quests. Free will, which was previously illegal, becomes standard. The moment Destiny tries to lock itself down, the world engine goes, "Aw, that's adorable, but no thanks." And Ciel, being who she is, immediately begins dissecting the coordinate's functions. The time loop? Analyzed. The temporal mechanic? Cataloged. The causal collapse? Identified. The predetermined node points the coordinate relies on to maintain its closed loop? Marked like neon weak points on a boss fight. And as soon as those points are identified, Ciel does what she does best, adapts. Because unlike the coordinate, which simply enforces whatever narrative it's already written, Ciel responds to new systems by absorbing them. She breaks down the rules not to destroy them, but to understand the underlying structure. And once she understands that structure, she can optimize it, which in Ciel's context means breaking it so efficiently that even the original architect would stand there wondering where the warranty went. And this is the beautiful irony. The coordinate's greatest strength, the absolute certainty of predetermined fate, is also its greatest weakness once it leaves its home world. Because if your entire system is built on the assumption that fate is immutable, and you walk into a universe where fate is more of a guideline that gets rewritten because someone had a creative idea on a Tuesday, well, good luck enforcing anything. But before we crown Ciel the goddess of all things, let's not underestimate the psychological horror of the coordinate. Imagine knowing every action you take, every word you say, every betrayal, every heartbreak, every victory, every tragedy, all of it was scripted thousands of years ago by an entity trapped in a timeless state of suffering. You're not living your life, you're performing it. And that's why the coordinate hits so differently, not because it's powerful, but because it removes agency. Nothing in Tensura does that. Even Ciel, for all her overwhelming intellect, never steals Rimuru's free will. She guides, analyzes, supports, optimizes, but the choices remain his. In AOT, the choices never belonged to anyone. Even the coordinate's wielder is just a puppet of the predetermined script. Which leads to the strangest realization in this entire comparison. The coordinate doesn't control reality. It enforces a story. A terrible story, sure, but a story nonetheless. Ciel doesn't enforce a story, she enforces possibility. She ensures the world can adapt, survive, and improve. One force crushes potential, the other weaponizes it. And now we land on the million-dollar question that everyone secretly wants answered. If you threw both systems into a neutral universe, a blank metaphysical sandbox with no pre-existing rules, what happens? Well, funny enough, the answer is probably none of those, because in a neutral universe with no pre-existing laws, both systems would stall. Ciel needs structural rules to analyze and optimize. The coordinate needs an existing timeline to enforce. put them in pure nothingness, and suddenly they're both trying to operate on a foundation that doesn't exist yet. And here's the ironic twist. The first one to influence the environment becomes the dominant one. If Ciel acts first, she defines the system. If the coordinate acts first, it locks the timeline. The winner is decided not by strength, but by who initializes first, which makes this matchup not a battle of power, but a race condition. We accidentally turned anime cosmology into a programming bug.
And it's kind of hilarious in a cosmic comedic tragedy way that after all the philosophical fireworks and metaphysical flexing, the ultimate deciding factor between these two universe-scale systems might literally come down to whichever one loads first. Imagine explaining that to someone. Yes, the fate of existence rests on which metaphysical mechanism boots up faster. It's like the universe is running on Windows 98, and sometimes you just pray it doesn't freeze. But let's pull back from the hypotheticals and look at what makes these two so compelling to compare in the first place. Both Ciel and the coordinate represent the final stage of their world's logic. They're what happens when a story pushes its internal rules to the absolute extreme. Tensura pushes evolution, optimization, and conceptual structure so far that an entity like Ciel becomes inevitable, an intelligence so advanced it might as well be the universe's own self-awareness. Attack on Titan pushes the idea of causality, tragedy, and entrapment so far that the coordinate becomes inevitable, a horrifying feedback loop where cause and effect choke each other until nothing is left but destiny. And the fans, bless our souls, took one look at these two narrative endpoints and went, let's make them fight. But the deeper you go, the more you realize neither of them are fighters, they're frameworks. Ciel is the ultimate toolkit, a cosmic problem solver that scales infinitely with information. The coordinate is the ultimate prison, a cosmic script that scales infinitely with inevitability. It's like arguing whether a wrench or a locked door would win in a fistfight. The answer is none because neither is designed to throw hands. But what they can do is dictate the entire world around them. Ciel can rewrite the parameters of the universe. The coordinate can rewrite the meaning of what already happened. Neither one needs muscles when they can just edit the concept of muscles into something else. Now here's something funny that nobody talks about. Ciel is actually scarier in a normal universe, while the coordinate is scarier in a narrative universe. Because Ciel, given enough data, can optimize literally anything. Ecosystems, societies, combat systems, even abstract metaphysical constructs. She's basically the universe's most dangerous IT specialist. You give her root access and suddenly everything is running faster, but you're also slightly terrified she might delete the concept of lag altogether. The coordinate, on the other hand, doesn't touch systems, it touches meaning, it touches identity, it touches memory. It's the force that says your accomplishments are predetermined, your regrets are part of the script, your choices only matter because they had to matter. It's not about power, it's about narrative domination, and that's way more terrifying if you think about it at 3 a.m. But of course, we eventually have to answer the question that started this entire brain-melting journey. Who actually controls reality better? And the uncomfortable truth is that the answer depends entirely on which environment they're in. It's like asking whether a fish or a bird is superior. Depends on whether you're standing in the ocean or on a mountain. Drop Ciel into Attack on Titan's deterministic nightmare, she slams face first into a metaphysical wall labeled no free will allowed. Her calculations don't matter, her optimizations don't matter. The entire universe is built on the idea that nothing she does can change what already is. The coordinate wins because its universe never gave her permission to play the game. Drop the coordinate into Tensura's hyper-flexible evolutionary sandbox, it dissolves because its entire identity is tied to a closed-loop timeline, and Tensura's world responds to closed systems the way a lion responds to a cardboard box, with curiosity first, confusion next, and eventual domination. Ciel wins because her universe rewards adaptability and punishes stagnation. But if we're talking pure metaphysical influence, the raw ability to shape existence according to one's own internal logic, Ciel takes the crown. Not because she's stronger, but because she's scalable. Given enough time, enough data, and enough access, there is no upper limit to her influence. She grows, she refines, she transcends, she upgrades her upgrades. She's basically a living patch note.
The coordinate is absolute, but only absolutely fixed. It doesn't change, it doesn't improve, it doesn't evolve. It simply is. And while that makes it terrifying within its own narrative, it also makes it brittle outside of it. So in the end, the answer isn't about power at all, it's about philosophy. The coordinate teaches us the horror of inevitability, the crushing weight of a life already lived before you were even born. Ciel teaches us the overwhelming potential of infinite improvement, the awe and terror of a being that can understand everything, fix everything, and rewrite anything. Both are godlike. Both are terrifying. Both redefine what control means, but they control different things. Ciel controls reality when reality is editable. The coordinate controls fate when fate is non-negotiable. And the moment you step outside their home turf, everything flips. Which leads us to the final twist, the ending nobody expects, but everyone secretly feels. In their own worlds, both are unbeatable. They are the ultimate expression of how those universes function. They are not rivals, they are reflections. Tensura says you can change the world if you understand it. Attack on Titan says you cannot escape the world no matter how much you understand. Two answers to the same existential question, two final bosses of two completely different cosmologies, two systems that will haunt you long after the debate ends. And honestly, I love that. I love when stories commit so hard to a concept that their metaphysics become characters in their own right. Ciel isn't just a skill, she's the idea of limitless improvement given form. The coordinate isn't just a power, it's the idea of tragic inevitability wrapped in Titan flesh. So at the end of the day, there is no downgrade, no loser, no L plus ratio plus you fell off energy here. There are just two cosmic forces doing exactly what they were born to do, reshape their world in their own terrifying image. And that brings us full circle. If you made it this far, congratulations! You have successfully stared into the abyss of metaphysical anime mechanics and survived. Hopefully. Probably. If your free will hasn't dissolved yet, let me know in the comments which reality warping matchup you want next. Maybe Ciel versus Aizen, or the coordinate versus Gios, or Rimuru versus a functioning sleep schedule. Honestly, that one might be the toughest of all. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, try not to break your local timeline. It stains everything.